Today, we have one of our own, Esther Kayode, to give us, who's an expert on this topic, to share insights with us on this very, very interesting topic. Esther Kayode is a project manager and chartered accountant with over 10 years of professional experience, an Afrocentric entrepreneur, content creator, and a proud mother. Her passions include crafting, cooking, and exploring the outdoors. Through her YouTube and Instagram channels, she creates content focused on living a healthy lifestyle, navigating motherhood, and offering insights into relocating abroad. She's also growing her Afrocentric enterprise, Orirewa, in the United States. She lives in the United States with her husband and son and is dedicating to helping others make informed decisions about their move abroad goals. With a deep love for God, she aims to reflect these different expressions in all aspects of her life. Ladies, please give a warm welcome to one of our own, Esther Kayode.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. So the business name is Orirewa. Orirewa is Yoruba word for our success. We'll get into that shortly. Thank you so much for having me. So please let's have this slide. So since I have very short time, I'll try to go as fast as I can. Hopefully we're able to cover everything. Thank you so much, sisters, for having me. And I pray that the information we'll be sharing today will meet you at the point of need. I believe that everybody that is here has one interest or the other in the United States. And just like she said, ever since 2015, Nigeria has been excluded from the list of diversity visa lottery programs. So we're not able to partake of that anymore because usually the DVP program is a program that the US established to bring in people from countries with low immigration rates. But since Nigeria has passed that level, that quota, we've been out of that list. Okay, so today's training is to expose to us great opportunities to permanently, the focus is permanently. When we talk about permanently, we're talking about you coming in as a green card holder. That is the least level. There are so many opportunities to move into the US. Next slide, please. There are so many opportunities to move into the US, actually. Like, I could count up to like 50, depending on who you are and for different people. Is it my screen or what's this black thing showing up on here?
Can others see the screen? Please just let me know.
There's a black thing I'm seeing over my screen. I don't know if it's my...
But there is, okay.
It's gone now. Okay, thank you. Okay, so like I said, there are like over 50 opportunities to come into the United States, but one of the things I've observed that it is not popular. A lot of countries seem to be more popular with immigration, like Canada, UK, because they're beginning to implement most of these that US has already implemented in the past. And one thing about the US is they want to attract the best. It seems like it's very competitive to come into US, and it's actually very competitive. But the thing is, the opportunities are there. So today, we'll be focusing on very few, because, like I said, there are a lot, and so there isn't so much time to go over everything, but we'll be focusing on very few that I believe our sisters in TOCI can tap into. These are self-sponsorship opportunities. Next slide, please. So I'll begin with a brief introduction of myself, just follow up on what has been discussed before. So I'm a mom. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this is me. My name is Esther. I know that a lot of people, my name shows as Orirewa on TOCI platform, but my actual name is Esther. You can call me Tosin. I know a lot of people have confusion about that. In Nigeria, I was Tosin. I moved to the US. I became Esther. That's a story for another day. But I'm a content creator. I'm a project manager, and I'm running my business right now in the United States. So I came into the United States in 2019 as a student. I came in for my master's degree program, but I got my permanent residency through marriage. My husband had his green card, he had his green card thing going, and I and I was added onto that. So he came in as an F1 student actually, but his company filed for him, and so I was onto that as well, and so I have my green card. Now this black thing has taken over my screen. I can't see anything anymore. Is it just me? Okay, so as you can see from the picture, I'm a YouTube creator. I have my YouTube channel. All of those details I'm going to share later. On my YouTube platforms, I share more about all of this information. Next slide, please. So without further ado, let's go into the main training for today. So if we want to categorize the different types of visas to come into the United States, we would categorize them under these 5 headings. There are a lot of them. Like the more you keep diving, you keep getting, you would almost, it's like you're going to let's say you're going to Lokoja and then you have to like there's so many, it leads you off to so many places. So you need to stay focused on what you're working on. The most popular one that a lot of people know is true marriage. And that happens with family-based green card. You can get married to a citizen, get married to somebody that has a green card, they file for you to bring you in. Or if you have a parent, you're less than 21 years old, they can bring you in, they file for you. All of that are good. We have the humanitarian green card. That's for people that claim asylum, refugees, I'm echoing. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. But the focus of today's training is not all of these other ones. Like we have this long-time resident green card. That one is it's not usually common again. They had that for people that had been in the United States, either legally or illegally before 1972, January 1st. So I'm not sure that anybody is currently in the United States that has been here since 1972. So those are the people that have opportunity to have that green card. They just give it to them. But now that is not the focus of today. The focus of today's training is on this one we have in the middle, employment-based green cards. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so this black thing again. Okay, so our area of focus, like I mentioned, is on employment-based green card. Please, previous slide. Okay, so under employment-based green card, there are 5 categories. We call them EB1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's employment-based, first preference, 1, second, 2, 3, 4, 5. And today we'll basically be looking at EB1 and EB2. There are 2 opportunities right under those sections I would like us to tap into. EB5 is an investor-based green card. So if you have $1.5 million to invest in the United States, please bring it. We're ready to collect it. And you have your green card. In fact, citizenship to come into the US. But if, she said to Martin, yes, now I know that my TOCI sisters are great people. So please, 1.5 million query, and then you come in. But like I said, we're looking at EB1, EB2, employment-based first preference. Usually in the United States, when you do the employment-based route to permanent residency, there's something they call labor certification. That labor certification is part of the process you go through to have your green card approved. There's something they call PEM. So when you have that approved, then you can file for your adjustment of status. This labor certification is what tells USCIS that, okay, the employment that you have is something that they've not been able to find a US citizen to occupy or do at the level that you can do. And so it is good for them to certify or approve your green card. So every employer that files for you would usually need to get that labor certification. But now, in the case of EB1, which is the first one I want to dive into, EB1A, we are setting aside that labor certification. We're telling USCIS that, see, I'm a special candidate. You guys need me. Without me, your economy is not balanced. Without me, United States is missing something. I am of extraordinary ability. So you need to set that aside. I don't need an employer to file for me. I'm going to file for myself. That is what we're saying if you're coming under EB1. So with EB1, you don't need an employer to file for you. Normally, a lot of people, like I said, my husband had his employer file for him. That's the route a lot of people would take. If they have to self-sponsor, they will sponsor themselves for their bachelor's or master's degree. Thereafter, they get their postgraduate study. From there, they get an employer to file for them. That's usually the route. But if you are a professional, you've had like say 10 years of work experience, especially progressive work experience, I wouldn't advise you to go that route because I know it takes a lot for you to come back to say, except you're just interested in coming to study, then it's okay for you to start from that route and be waiting on an employer to file for you. Otherwise, there is this great opportunity, especially EB1. With EB1, you can come into the US if you are very determined, you put in the work, you're serious in as less as 3-4 months. Okay, let me not over exaggerate. Let's say 6 months. And I'll tell you why. So under the EB1, like I said, this opportunity is open to people of extraordinary ability. And what I mean by extraordinary ability are the things that I've listed below. If you are an outstanding professor, you are a researcher, or you are a multinational executive or manager. Let's say that you work in Shell or you work in like a big corporation that has branches in different locations. This opportunity is for you can self-sponsor yourself. And honestly, I will show you the cost implication later. It's not something that is over the roof, but basically things that you can do for yourself. Like I said, you just need to put in the work. It's something that requires a level of, in fact, it requires a bit of high level work because you are selling yourself to the United States Citizenship Immigration Service. That's USCIS. So when they're evaluating you for EB1, EB1 has a higher bar compared to the next one I'm going to discuss. Only few people are able to tap into it. And honestly, if you can meet 3 of these criteria that is listed on the screen, I would advise you to meet more than 3. But if you can meet 3 of these criteria, then you're a good candidate for this opportunity. So you can look at yourself, evaluate yourself. Do you have international awards that you've received? So now when it comes to B1, they don't look at local skill, they're looking at international level. What international recognitions have you received? What international contributions have you made in your field? Do you have at least 10 years of work experience? Have you judged the work of others? Are there scholarly articles that you've written? Can we call you an authority in your field? Do you have work? Let's say you're an artist or you do something entrepreneurial. Honestly, entrepreneurs can tap into this. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that as we go on in the training, how you can tap into this as an entrepreneur. So looking at all of these things, the organizations that you've worked, have you been distinguished? What leadership roles have you taken? Excuse me, I'm a little bit under the weather, but it's okay. Just bear with me. So, and also another thing that is very important when it comes to EB1 that you should do or have is command a high salary. And when we talk about high salary, there's this temptation to want to convert to like dollars to say, because what would be determined as high salary in US is different from what we consider as high salary in Nigeria. When they consider high salary, they want to look at you in terms of others in your field, in your country. What are you earning in line with others in your field? If you seem to be earning like in the 90th percentile, then you're a good candidate. In the United States, I know that most figures for people concerned in the United States, I don't know, it depends on also the field that you're applying from. But for people in tech, I've heard people talk about like $180,000. I don't know what the average is in Nigeria, but we can check that up and I can direct you to somewhere. But if you find that your salary range is in the 90th percentile for people in your field, career field would differ. So if an accountant, it would differ from if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, things like that. So your salary shows that if you're commanding a high salary, it shows that you are of extraordinary ability. That's why you are able to earn that salary. So all of these things are the things that make you qualify to come under this umbrella. But the important thing that you need to know is how you differentiate yourself. All of these things are just guidance. The United States Citizenship Immigration Service has not listed a number of things to say you must do this particularly, you must do this particularly. So all the cases that are viewed on a case-by-case basis. But what I usually tell people is everything that you can add to sell yourself as the best product ever is what you want to put in your package. We're going to go into more details about how to do all of that very shortly, but this is just a brief about so you don't need a job offer for it. Like I said, you don't need to have a job offer you are doing this by yourself. And you're doing this by yourself, you are representing yourself as somebody important that the United States needs to have. And the beautiful thing about this is that you're coming in as a green card holder. As a green card holder in the United States, you can work, you can start your business, you can do anything. You can decide that you don't even want to work, you just want to be enjoying your life in the United States. It's fine. You have full rights. You can come to the United States, you can go out of the United States as you want. Another beautiful thing is that not just you, but you and your family can come together. So there's a stage where you had your family members, you or whoever meets this criteria in your family can be the primary applicants. When it is approved, there's a stage where you had the rest of your family members. You guys come in and then you start to live as permanent residents from day one. And after 5 years, qualify for citizenship. Tell me this isn't beautiful. All right, so let's go to NIW. Next slide, please. So I've already mentioned all of these. Okay. So this is NIW right now. I'm blocking my own screen. Okay, so for NIW, give me a minute. Okay, so for NIW, we have NIW falls under EB2. Normally under EB2, it's just like the same way. You will need labor certification. And EB2 is for people with advanced degrees, like master's degree, all of those things. The employer usually files for them. Same story. Labor certification, you don't need to have it. You're telling USCIS that I'm good on my own, I don't need employment to have this. And then your NIW looks at you, they look at your case, and they either approve or reject your case. But under NIW, the key word here is to advanced degree or exceptional ability. And then what qualifies as advanced degree? Number one is your master's degree. If you have a master's degree, and the master's degree is not just any master's degree. Some people do a one-year master's degree, that will not qualify. In the United States, a recognized master's degree program is a 2 years program. So if you have a master's degree that is like 2 years, that will work. Yeah, national interest waiver. Sorry, national interest waiver. I forgot to mention that. Or if you don't have a master's degree, but you have a bachelor's degree and 5 years of progressive work experience, that will qualify as advanced degree. Or if you have a PhD, any of these three things will qualify you to apply for NIW, in addition to other things that you would add to your profile. Next slide, please. So now let's look at what is exceptional ability in, is it just me or we have all these blue marks? Okay, no problem. I think maybe it's just on my
Somebody is scribbling on these slides.
Oh,
Auntie
okay.
Obi, is your son with us?
Okay, so for exceptional ability, these requirements are listed. If you have like at least 3 of these requirements, you are good to go. So exceptional ability means that you have a level of expertise that is not ordinary. Exceptional ability is lower compared to extraordinary ability in the eyes of USCIS. So like exceptional ability now, you're saying that you have a master's degree, you have license, you have received recognition in your field as well, but it might not be international. It might not be international. You've written articles. You don't need to have judged the work of others. As you can see, that line is not here, but you have at least 5 years of work experience or 10 years work experience. If you have a BSc, you should have, and you don't have a master's degree, you have at least that BSc plus 5 years of work experience. Then it's also good for you to be able to show that you belong to membership associations that are relevant to your profession. And it will also be good if you can show that in those memberships that you have, you probably have some contributions that you are making. And also you are able to show some references, some strong references that can back up your application. Under NIW, there's a 3-pronged test that is usually done to establish your eligibility for this NIW consideration. The first is that you have a proposed endeavor that has substantial. Okay, I think I'll just look at the questions at the end of everything so that we can manage time. I think me switching between the two might be dragging us back because I have to click. Hope you don't mind. I'm sorry. We
That's
look at
fine. That's
Yes,
fine.
that's fine. Please do the questions after.
all right, thank you. So three-pronged test, as I was explaining, the first is that you have a proposed endeavor that has substantial merit and important and national importance. And honestly, when we get into the application part of it, I'll tell you more about this. But this is something that you need to prove in everything that you're submitting. And also, you are going to write a statement of endeavor. When you write that statement of endeavor, you yourself will carry out this test. You will tell the USCIS. It's like going to appear in a court of law and say, my lord, I present my case before you. This is me. On the basis of substantial merit and national importance, this is why, and why you should accept me. So you need to prove that. Number two, you need to show that you are well advanced, you're well positioned to advance this proposed endeavor. It might be that well position might mean that maybe you have the financial capacity, or you have the knowledge, you have the skill. So you can say that you are coming into the United States to contribute. Let's say you are an architect, to the architectural landscape of maybe a particular state. You've observed that, okay, there's a problem of hurricane in one area. These are the issues that you've observed. And so you have the information, you have the skill to help people build better houses that can withstand, different weather conditions and so. And so I'm not an architect, so I'm just trying to give an idea of things that can be an endeavor. Anything can be an endeavor. But you are well positioned can mean that you have the skill, you have the money. Let's say you're an entrepreneur. You want to come and continue your entrepreneurship endeavor in the United States, then you can show that you probably have the business capital to start. That can stand in for your well positioning to advance your proposed endeavor. Also, there's this last part that it might be a little bit tricky, which is establishing that balance. But based on the things that you're able to submit, you want to be able to show that it's actually in the best interest of United States to give you this waiver, because like I said, it's a national interest waiver. They are waiving the labor certification for you to have your green card. Like, it is in their best interest that you come into the United States. So they need to set aside this labor certification. They don't need to do that labor whole process for you because you're on your own. You are Jagaban. All right, so next slide. Next slide, please. So I'm just going to briefly on this O1 visa, because I know that a number of you might have heard about it, but the focus of today's training is not on O1 visa, and there's a reason. O1 visa is not something you can self-sponsor or self-file for. It's not a self-petitioning visa route. There is a trick around it that people do. You get, there's a trick around it. And actually, O1 visa can let you come into the US in as less as 45 days. It is very, very fast. That's one of the reasons why I just wanted to mention. But it is not something that you can self-sponsor. Like, it's not a self-petition. It's like E1, EB1, and NIW. No. So E1 visa is usually for like entrepreneurs, individuals, as you can see on the screen, with extraordinary abilities, people in motion pictures, entertainers. But the thing about it is that only a US employer or agents can do this for you. What some entrepreneurs do is establish their business and have that business file for them. But the thing about O1 visa is when you come into the US, you don't come in as a permanent resident. You come in as someone on O1 visa, and it is for like 3 years. It can be renewed, and there's a path to green card and citizenship. But because today's training is not about that, I will not be diving deep into that. Today's training is to focus on opportunities that let you come into the US as a permanent resident. But I just wanted to give you this knowledge, or just give you this little tip. Maybe it's something you think that, okay, you want to find out way around it. You like this one, you want to do it. Then we can discuss after the training. So you can see it's a dual intent visa. O1 visa is actually very fast. I know somebody that got his approved in less than 1 week. He's still in the United States now with his family. And with O1 visa, you have to continue doing the work that you have come into the US to do. You can't work for anybody. So there are some clauses around you. That's why I wouldn't be focusing on it today. So let's move to our area of focus today. Next slide, please. So now let's talk about the process of filing both EB1 and NIW. Both of them are similar. The differentiation is in how you submit your case. Both of them, you are going to file Form I-140. That's what we call it. So, like I said in the first step, you submit a strong petition. So there's a Form I-140 that you would download online on the USCIS website. You will make payments for it. I'm going to show you the cost implication soon. You make payment for it, you fill it. There's a part where you are feeling that you would indicate that you will be doing your consular process. I'll explain that shortly outside of the US. But important thing here is that what is the definition of strong petition? Excuse me. What is this definition of strong petition? So you are filling your Form I-140, you are attaching all of your evidences, and you are submitting your statement of proposed endeavor. I have some samples I'm going to show you shortly so that you can have an idea of what people submit, what it will look like. But like I mentioned earlier, your proposed endeavor should establish the three-pronged test and pass it, even from your own eyes, before the USCIS looked at it. A lot of people have been approved, a lot of people have been denied. But the beautiful thing that I've observed is that the rate of approval has been increasing over the years, especially since like 2019. The number of people that have gotten NIW is one of the reasons why I said, no, I need to keep sharing this, that my own people will not be missing out on this information. People outside the US, people in the US are getting it. A lot of students are coming to the US to do their program. I even advise them, rather than waiting for an employer, just start with NIW yourself and doing it, especially if you're a PhD student. You've already overmet the criteria, and they give it to you. So in terms of submitting strong petition, what I advise people to do is evaluate yourself and look at yourself as a brand. If you were to be a brand and you want to talk to people about buying you, how would you sell yourself? In this, when it comes to EB1 and IW, nothing should be left out. Even the thing that you think is the most minute or whatever, you are in any professional, if you have not even joined any professional association, go and join. If you have not started a course that I think is relevant, go and start it. If you have not written an article, go and write it. You can give yourself a 6-month timeline to meet that criteria. If you evaluate yourself and you realize that you have not sufficiently gotten to that level where you can immediately present a strong case, you can give yourself a 6-month timeline to do all of the things that are missing. If it's an article you've not written, you can work on it. If it's a certification you need to get, you can work on it and give yourself a 6-month timeline. To write your strong petition, you can give yourself like 3-4 weeks. People have done it in 3 weeks. People have done it in 4 weeks. But what I would advise is when you write your petition, don't just submit. Have people look at it. Have people that have done it before look at it so they can tell you areas of focus, things that you might be missing out. You can even get, there are a lot of groups that people join, and they are also this opportunity. If you don't want to do it by yourself, you can hire a lawyer to do it for you. You can hire some other people that are doing this to do it for you. But I usually advise people to do it themselves because nobody knows you better than you do. You get? So that's the first step. Once you get your endeavor, your statement of endeavor, you filled in your Form I-140, you've attached all of your evidences, you compile them, you submit them to the USCIS office in the United States that you want to evaluate your case, then you wait. When you're waiting, your wait time differs. So if you decide to do premium processing, your wait time can be shorter. But if you decide that, I don't have money for this premium processing, is too expensive, I'll just wait it out, I'm not in a hurry, then no problem. I've had people who did premium processing, got theirs approved in less than 45 days. I know somebody that didn't pay premium processing is still on his case. He's still waiting on his case for like 4 months now. So it depends on your urgency level and what you want. So you wait. After a period of time, when the USCIS has finished evaluating your case, 2 decisions will come out of it. In fact, I think like 3 decisions. First is an approval. Second might be an RFE. RFE is request for evidence. Maybe they are not satisfied with one area of with any area that you've established or anything that you've submitted, they can ask you for more information. The third can be an outright rejection. If they've rejected, you can decide to reapply again if you have the money. Otherwise, you can decide to explore other routes. But if you've been approved, if you're outside the United States, you will begin a consular process. But if you are within the United States, there's something called adjustment of status. That's another process. So I'm going to assume that everybody here on this training right now are outside the United States and want to do this process. That's why I've said consular processing. Consular processing is that process where you do your medical exam, you go do your visa, just like we used to do during the days of diversity visa lottery program. That will go and do a medical exam, then we'll go to do our interview at the embassy. So when you get your approval letter, the USCIS will notify the National Visa Center. They'll give you an alien number. It is with that alien number that you will go and get your consular process started in your own country. Don't forget that you would have indicated that in your Form I-140 when you are submitting it. But one thing that differentiates EB1 and NIW is in this step as well. EB1 is always current. There's something called priority date. Like if you get your EB1 approved today, you can start your consular process right away. It's always current. But for NIW, there's a wait line. So depending on when your dates get approved, you are falling into the queue. So there's a queue. The last I heard, I think they had gotten to like November, or I think they had gotten like April 2023. So this is October 2024. So if you join the queue now, you have to wait because they are taking it one after the other. You will not have a visa date yet, so you can't start your consular process. You have to wait till the USCIS gets to October 2024 cases. Then you can have your visa number. But the fastest one is the EB1 because EB1 is always current. There's no queue on that one, but the bar is higher. The bar is higher, but it is a bar that can be met. Yes, the wait time is a problem. It's even for Nigeria. The wait time for people in India and China, you don't even want to hear it. Last I heard was like 95 years. So some people will not even get it in their generation. But all is well. So once you have your approval, you get your welcome letter from the National Visa Center. That is after your data become current, then you can now pay your visa application fee. It is at this point that you will now, excuse me, I hate that I'm sounding this way. Okay. So it is at this point that you then complete your DS-260 form. At this point that you had your family members, all your children that are less than 21 years old, you had them, you had your spouse, everybody wants to add at this process to fill your visa application. So in filling your consular application, you will scan and upload all your supporting documents like your certificates, your passport, every other documentation. They will already include all of this information in the welcome letter. That you can't include your mommy and your daddy actually at that point. You can't include them. You can file for them later, but you can't include them. You can include your immediate family members, your husband, your children that are less than 21 years old. So you scan and upload all your supporting documentation on the website at that point, and then you prepare to attend your visa interview. You will do a medical exam. Those are the usual tests that they usually do for visa, at the approved medical centers. You have to go with your medical results. You won't open it. You will take it with you to your visa interview. So once your visa has been approved, you then pay the immigrant's fee. I'm going to show you all of the cost implication in the next slide. And that immigrant fee is what will be used to process your green card. You can choose to pay it in Nigeria or when you get to the US. But if you pay it before you come into the US, it will make your green card faster. If you choose to pay it here, it's also okay. It's just like it will take longer for your green card to come. So you come into the United States with your green card and a visa packet that will be given to you. That visa packet, you must not open it. You give it to the Customs and Border Patrol officer at the point of entry, at the port of entry when you come into the United States. They will look at it and will decide to accept you or not. But in Jesus' name, accept you into the US. So after you get into US, you wait to get your green card. You will get something they call work authorization first, or some people don't even get it, they just get their green card outrightly. And that should happen within 90 days. According to USCIS on your website, if you don't receive it within 90 days, you should let them know. It's not a normal situation. All right, so now that I've gone through this self-filing process, let's go to the next slide and look at things that you would generally need for either EB1 or EB2. And honestly, this list is not exhaustive. Like I wrote it on a case-by-case basis. What Esther will submit will differ from what Sister Ifwe will submit, because we are not the same individuals. We don't have the same education, we don't have the same background, we don't have the same qualification. But what is important is that when we look at each individual, we have to say that this person is a good candidate. This person, bonus point, this person is who we want, you know. So examples are just things like your academic documents. So submit things like your WAEC. In fact, include your WAEC. They let them know that you truly you went to secondary school. Because I know that some people after a while, you feel like, what do I want to do? Is it trash it? Submit it. Employment letters that you have received, because now your employment letters help to prove that work experience. Especially for somebody that is doing NIW, you have a bachelor's plus 5 years of work experience. You want to gather your employment letters that shows that 5 years work experience. Number one, there's no gap and there's a progress. Let's say you started as entry level. We can now say that maybe you are mid manager or something. You have become a mid-level executive, things like that. Progressive, you know. Your salary has increased is another way to show progressive work experience. You know, all of those things. You have to show that. Proof of professional association, maybe the IDs or welcome letters those association gave you, gather all of them. Income statement might be relevant for somebody that is applying as an entrepreneur under EB1, for instance. Show your annual income statement, official bank statement, tax returns, just to show that you're a lawful citizen. You're compliant. Even for an employee, get your tax statement if you can, you know. Any article that you have written, any academic research that you presented, you know, different things. For entrepreneur as well, you can also show an evidence of your startup capital if you have it, if you want to come in under that umbrella. So again, the emphasis is on as much evidence as you can provide. Like we said, there is no, if you can provide 40, provide 40. If you can provide 50 things, provide it. Because the important thing is you want to present yourself at the highest level of expertise possible to qualify for either of these. Next slide, please. I'm sorry. So now, please, can you click on EB1? So I want us to look at an example of what a proposed endeavor statement is. Is that coming up?
On it is coming up. Let me just see.
Okay.
Can you just go ahead while it's coming up?
Okay, maybe we'll come back to that. Let's go to the next slide. So I wanted to show you what an example is like, a statement of proposed endeavor that you would attach to your form I-140. I wanted to show you what that is like for EB1 and for NIW.
Me, I want to see you. Please, the thing should work in Jesus' name.
Yeah, we could probably take that for the last. Let's go to the next slide. You can open those ahead. So now let's look at the cost involved. Let's go to the next slide. We'll come back to this because of time. We're already running out of time. So for the cost involved, these are the costs involved as at the last time I checked, which was like yesterday. So from I-140 715, it used to be lesser than that, but they reviewed it to 715. This premium processing is what I mentioned earlier. If you want to make your wait time shorter, is it is optional, it is not compulsory. So if you take out that, you can see that the entire cost is less than $1,500 for each individual to take on either of these routes. So the consular processing fee, which we talked about earlier, is $345. Don't forget that the visa fee is not here. I have not included the visa fee. You will need to pay visa fee for each individual that you're including in your application. And that is different right now. I'm not sure how much it is in Nigeria, but that is different. So all of this, then the immigrant fee is the one I said you could pay before you come into the US or after you come into the US. It is used to process your green card. So if you had your premium processing fee, everything will still cost less than $4K to process for each person. Yeah, so basically this is a summary of everything about E1, EB1, and NIW. There's a lot involved more than all of this, but I try to compress it to give you the very important information that you need to get started or propel you to action. So next slide. So on this slide, I just wanted to share like tips that have helped me to integrate since I got into the United States. You know, moving into a new environment, a new country, it's not easy, especially for some people that might not have traveled before. Before I came into the United States, I had not lived anywhere else apart from Nigeria. But one of the things I'm grateful for was that I came into the United States as a student. So that education made it easy for me to blend into the system because we had a community in my school. We had a Nigerian community that was strong. And they were very supportive. I the early days, we fill in my SSN, we get things done. People were always willing to move. I didn't have a car there, and I came to study in Texas. Texas is one place where you will need to learn how to drive and have a car. If you don't know how to drive, don't learn how to drive, it's going to be hard for you to move around. I didn't know how to drive then. I had not learned. I didn't have a car. But being in that community, people were very helpful. It was so easy for me to get my SSN. It was easy for me to fill out my school registration, even go to classes until I was able to drive and get a car. So another opportunity, another thing that helped me was going to church, meeting people, exploring different activities, traveling to different states. And if you're coming in as a permanent resident, you know, especially if you have not explored the US before, you might not know which of the states you want to live in. But you know, the United States, one thing about it is that it is very big. And as big as it is, each state is different from the other. Texas is different from, like I've lived in Seattle, I've lived in Texas, I've been to other different states, and I can tell you they are also different. Like when we're living in Seattle, the climate was much, much different. The community, I feel like Texas, especially Dallas, is a well-blended community, especially for a Nigerian. It might be easy for you to, you know, mix and, you know, be comfortable when you come into the country compared to Seattle. Seattle is more of a very cold, gloomy, but you know, all of us are different. So it's always good to explore different states to know which you would eventually want to settle in with your family. Another thing that can help you is volunteering. So there are a lot of organizations in the US that's open up for volunteering. And honestly, one of the things I can see about the US is whatever it is that you want to do, there's something out there for you. You want to be an entrepreneur, there's something out there for you. You want to be a top-class executive, there's something there for you. You are very humanity-based, you want to help people, there's something out there for you. So all of these things, next slide, which is where we'll be closing out this session. Then we'll look at questions and I can point you into areas of further action. So yeah, these are opportunities you can explore. Real estate is a booming sector in the United States. Everybody, especially as immigrants, we're always looking into real estate. Entrepreneurship, tech, everybody knows that United States is the hub of advanced tech. Consulting, healthcare, e-commerce. A lot of people do e-commerce nowadays. It might be you listing products on Amazon, Etsy, places like that. And you make as much, some people make as much as 30K per month from all of these platforms. So it's a lot of opportunities that I can't even list here. So I know that I don't need to preach about the United States so much. United States sells itself, I believe. So yeah. So if you would like to, next slide, I think this is where we end it. She said it's how the United States is talking this. Please, next slide. Oh, okay. All right. So if you would like to know more, you have questions, I'll quickly look at the chat to see the questions that we have. But if you would like to know more about this, you can reach out to me. Or if you even want a hands-off process, you feel like you can't undo this by yourself, it's too much, I can't do it. You're willing to pay people to do it for you, then I can point you in the right direction. You can chat me up. My contact, can you display that contact page again so that people can have the information? Then I think we missed out the petitions. Are the petitions open now?
Yes, yes, open.
Okay, let's look at the petitions quickly.
Mhm.
Oh, this black thing again.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah, we can see the screen, but there's this black thing over it.
Wait,
There's
just
a...
hold on. Let me do a full screen. Let me know if it's
So
better now.
these petitions I'm displaying are things that I got off of the internet. I can't share people's petitions with you. You get, that's why I can't display that. But I just wanted you to have something to start you off, was why I got this off of the internet, just for you to see. The ones that I have with me are pretty much also similar to this, but they have personal information and people's details. I can't share all of that. So, but if you look, you can scroll down, please. If you look at it, please stay here. Please stay here first. You would see, can you stay here? Thank you. Yeah, you can see like what this person has done. They've listed, they have a table of contents, and they've listed everything that they have. For anybody outside the US, this form, F1 visa, all this I-94, 794 EAD card might not apply. But what you apply will be all of those evidences that we have said. You are going to attach them here. So in this case, you see that this person is paying a premium servicing, premium cost for this. It's paying a cost for the premium processing. The fee is different now. It used to be something like this before, but you can see it's different. Scroll down. Scroll down. So you can see what this looks like. We can just scroll through this to see what this looks like. You see, please, can we go up a little bit more? Let me point out this. Yeah, stay here, please. Can you see what this person has specifically stated the classification sorts? Employment-based immigration, first preference, extraordinary ability in science, EB1A. He has stated it and he has given reasons. If you see 1, 2, 3, he's giving reasons with evidences. And see, you can see it's not referring to the section. So basically, in writing this, you need to understand what the criteria you're trying to satisfy. And so you write to meet those criteria. When you write to meet those criteria, you attach, oh, cannot see anything. Jesus is Lord.
We'll see apart from Timmy Talkback because I can see on my phone, my other device that I'm logged in.
I can see everything, and I'm using my phone. I can see.
So Timmy
Let me
Talkback,
talk
please
about
just check your settings.
your internet or something.
Okay.
Okay, I'll check it then. But it's blurry though.
Are you using a phone or a computer?
Yeah, I'm using
I
my
think
phone.
she's...
But I'm using my phone and it's very clear. All I did was to turn the phone to landscape and zoom it out a little and I can see.
Okay, okay. Let me try
Yes,
that then.
try that. Mm.
Okay. Thank you for confirming. Okay. All right. So you can see all of the things this person has written. Extraordinary ability is showing proof. This now, you can see, this is also like a guide. This is not specific like this and this, but the person has indicated their field of expertise. They've also indicated the criteria that they met. So like those list of, for EB1 now, those list of 10 points that I displayed earlier, you take each of them and, talk to them, like how you've met each of those criteria. Then you attach your proof. Let's scroll down and keep looking. When we look at NIW now, we'll be able to tell the difference between the two. So you can keep scrolling down. You can keep scrolling down. And maybe what I will do again is I will send a link of these two petitions to the group chats. It's readily available on the internet. So I believe that there is no piracy or whatever being infringed on. So just a summary as well. So this person now is giving an example of international recognition received. You know, I mentioned that for EB1, international recognition is important. For NIW, you might do away with that, but to show extraordinary ability, if you have something that shows international recognition, it goes a long way. Maybe a Nobel laureate as well, you know. All right, okay. I think so that we don't waste time, basically all of this scrolling down is just the person talking to all of those points like I've mentioned. This is a statement of scroll down, there will be a section.
What section are you looking for?
Yeah, it's just to show all of the different headers, like things that this person has met as much as possible. But let's leave this now and go to NIW. Under NIW now, we would see what the proposed endeavor this person is showing to undertake, and how, and passing that three-pronged test, like I mentioned, is one thing that you need to include in your NIW. Let's look at it in the other one.
Can you see this?
No, I'm still saying EB1A.
Okay, just a moment.
Yeah, we can scroll past this. It's similar to what we have in the other one. So let's just scroll past this. National interest waiver, that's one differentiation, like I mentioned before. So the classification. Let's scroll down. Keep scrolling. Can we come stay here but move a little bit upwards? Yes, so here, this is three-pronged test that I mentioned earlier. You can see proposed work in chemistry has both substantial merit and national importance. Is well positioned, this and this. So this person now, in writing is this entire petition, is going to take this test one after the other and show how he has met substantial merits and national importance, how he is well positioned to advance his proposed endeavor, how on balance it is beneficial to the United States to waive the job offer and labor certification requirements. So all of these things are the things that differentiate NIW from EB1. Let's scroll down. So 1.2, let's scroll down. Can we, a little bit, can we go up just a little bit? I wanted to call out. Sure. Oh no, it's gone too much. Yeah, has made original discoveries. Hold on. Has made original discoveries in organometallic chemistry. So depending on your field, let's say you're an accountant and in your organization, you probably come up with a cost reduction mechanism that has helped the organization to save, let's say, $20,000. And they've been using it for the past 5 years. And you feel like this is something that will be of importance to the United States. This is something that you can include in your NIW application. So it's about looking, like I said earlier, it's about selling yourself, looking at your profile. What are the things that you've done? What work have you done? That can talk about your contributions to your field. It can count as contribution to your field. So even if it's as little as your workplace, don't forget that NIW now, it doesn't matter if it is international or not. But for EB1, having international, it doesn't mean that if you don't have international recognition, you will still not be considered. It's just something that helps your application better. It's something that helps your application better. So now you will see that for this person, on all of the things that they are doing, they are highlighting. It's basically speaking to all of the things like under NIW, when I mentioned it, I mentioned like 3 of so many requirements. So you can take each of those requirements. They said 3. You don't have to stop at 3. If you can list more than 7, it's okay. This petition, some people write as much as 40 pages, whereas some people write 18 pages, and both of them get approved. So when it comes to NIW and EB1, what I would say is don't look at another person. When you look at another person's work, it should just guide you to say, okay, what are you missing? Not for you to think that you've overdone. People ask me if it's possible to overdo on this aspect, I will say no. For me, it's not possible to overdo. That overdo is even what they want to see. Whatever you think that, put it there. So basically, these 2 things, these 2 areas are things that would, in fact, I've lost my line of thoughts, but however, all of these things are like whatever it is we sell you, we help you sell yourself better are the things that you want to include. For NIW, ensure that you look at the 3 USCIS consideration and speak to them. So let the USCIS see reasons why you need to be accepted. So in this place now, see this person is talking about the 3-pronged test, one after the other. Can you see? Proposed employment has both substantial merit and national importance. So, like I was giving an example of an accountant before. The accountant has said that they've developed a cost reduction technique. You can see that you looked at some companies in the United States and you have observed wastages in their financial system because of this, and this. So you believe that by coming into the United States and working as a financial accountant, you will be able to do this and this and this. And therefore, these are substantial merits and national importance based on the data that you have obtained from so. So however you want to write it, it depends on you. So all of these things is left to your creativity and professionalism. But the important thing is to go high. When you're going for NIW and go high. And honestly, I encourage a lot of people to go for EB1. I encourage a lot of people to go for EB1 because EB1 is shorter. It saves you time. I have a family friend here in the US though. They got their EB1 approval how many months ago? They got their green card in 3 months after they got their EB1 approval. Nobody will get NIW approval and is hard right now. But once you get your NIW, at least you know that you've been approved. You are just waiting for your date to become current. Both of them are good. But if you have a shorter timeline to work with, then raise your bar higher and go for EB1. That's what I would advise. So yeah, I'm going to share the link to these 2 articles on the group chat so that we can always have it to guide us. So you can decide if you want to do this by yourself or you want to seek professional help. If you want to seek professional help, I can guide you in the right direction. I have people that I work with. You can send me a DM or send me a chat. My contact, can you display that contact page again, please? I'm on Instagram as FFTL Inspired. So me presenting this training today, I'm presenting it as FFTL Inspired. My Afrocentric business is Oriwa. As a professional, I am Esther Coyote. So thank you so much for having me today. You can send me an email, connect@fftlinspired.com if you want to talk about this, or you can even just chat me on WhatsApp. You can watch more of our YouTube videos about relocating abroad, my life in the United States on FFTL Inspired on YouTube and on Instagram. So let me look at, I'm going to quickly look at the chat to see questions that I've not answered and we quickly run through it. I know that we are above time. Education team, please, Emma.
I don't like you. And you ask, why don't you like it? It's so we I can't do it.
Is someone asking a question?
Okay, so let me just look at the questions that we have. Make it easier for you. But first of
Anyway,
all, I have
I'm
a
coming
question
now.
though. So statistically, right, from your experience, like is it that do they accept more of EB1, EB2? What's it like? What have you seen?
more of NIW. But I would say that another reason for that is because more people submit for NIW than EB1.
Okay.
You get they don't tell us particularly how many people, but what I've seen is that more people get NIW. But I think that's because a lot of people are fearful of EB1. They feel like, oh, I can't meet that bar. Let me just go and do NIW generally. But I feel like if you are a professional, you have at least 10 years of work experience, you should be able to position yourself to meet EB1 criteria. Let me tell you something I saw recently. There's a YouTuber that I saw here in the United States. She got EB1 and she did it herself. I'm like, if a YouTuber can get it, I feel like anybody can get it. Somebody that has 10 years of work experience, 15 years of work experience should be able to get it. Yeah, I get it. You don't want to pay all those fees and get it. I get it. It's
Okay, so we
painful.
have a question here. Please, can you mute, please? Thank you. So we have a question here that says, when you say these costs are per person, is it one individual that applies and you add family by paying visa fee, or is it the $4,000 approximately cost per family member?
No. So 4,000 is for the primary applicant. The other fees that would apply to other family members are the visa fees, the consular processing fee, the visa fees. But the I-140 fee is just one.
Okay.
That one is for the primary applicants. After you have been approved and you are going for your visa processing, then you had your family members. At that point, you pay medical exam fees for all your family members. You pay their visa fees and you pay their immigrant fees. Immigrant fee will apply for each individual on your application because that is what will be used to process your green card. Each member of your family will get their own individual green card.
Okay.
Hope that answers the question. How much is the whole process? Honestly, I didn't have everything together, but we could say like 4K. But that 4K would be if you are paying for premium processing. If you decide to wait it out, it should be less than 2K.
Okay. I have another
Like if you
question.
have citizens, they don't need visa. No, they don't.
Okay, we have another question here that says, can you decide to change profession when you get to the US?
Very well. So I was an accountant in Nigeria. I was a chartered accountant. I did accounting for my bachelor's and worked as a chartered accountant before I relocated. When I came into the US, I came in to study for my master's degree in computer information systems. And after I graduated, I started working in one of the big fours as an IT professional. So does that convince you that I can change your career?
What if you came in with the EB1 or the
Yeah,
NIW? You can still change.
time changer. So that's the beautiful thing about this. When you have your green card, you have liberty to do anything. That's why I didn't want to talk about so much about the O1 because there's a limitation around the O1 and some other visa processes. But when you come into the United States with your green card, like I said before, you can even decide that you don't want to work again, that you just want to be enjoying your life and be moving from city to city as the Lord has provided for you. No? There's
Great,
liberty.
great. Okay, we have another question here that says, is there an appeal process if it is denied?
I think so. But what I know of certain is that appeal process sometimes is even longer than whatever you want to do. So a lot of people don't even go through it. They just go and submit another one. And sometimes it doesn't guarantee that it will be successful. So let's say, for instance, you have an RFE, which is better. If they give you a request for evidence, you just look at what you are being asked. If you are able to meet it, you get it and you submit it. Otherwise, sometimes you can just abandon the case. I know somebody that was given an RFE because of her salary. She was trying to get the EB1. They said her salary something, and she knew that she couldn't get a job for that salary level they were asking her. The person was within the United States, actually. And so she abandoned that case. That's something else that can happen.
So did she apply again with another?
She had gotten her NIW approved. So she wanted a shorter
Okay.
because like I said, EB1 is always current. So she wanted to get a green card ASAP. But since she couldn't meet up with the RFE that was given to her, she just had to wait on her NIW.
Okay, great. Okay, we have another question here that says, what is the cost like for having professional help you with the process?
So I know different people that charge as much as 7,585, but is as low as like 4K and above.
Okay, 4K and above.
That's different from whatever I put on the screen.
Application, yes.
Yeah, different from
4,000 and above. Okay, so you have to hold your money. Someone has asked if I have if my children are citizens of the United States, do they need visa? I don't think they need anything.
they don't need anything. They are good.
Okay. What is the average wait time now for NIW? I think you mentioned that.
Yeah, I mentioned it. The last time I heard was like, I'll confirm again. I actually put it on the group, but last time I heard was like April 2023. But I think somebody else had mentioned August. I need to be sure. I don't want to just give you something I'm not sure of, because it's not something it's not something you know at the time you submit. It's after you submit, you just realize that this is
There's
how
a
far you
wait
are.
time. Okay. So maybe you can tell from the history of other people what their experience has been, the
So another
latest.
thing you tell is for people that are in the pool, you ask them, okay, so where are you now? Or
Okay,
where have you
great.
gone? So I have
Okay.
people that are currently in the pool. I'm going to confirm from them. I'll let you know.
Okay. There's another question here that says, is the NIW in any specific area or is it in any area at all? And also, let me add to that question. Is it when you say 5 years work experience, is it any organization, any company at all? Does it have to be a multinational? Are there specific criteria that organization of 5 years working experience has to meet?
No. So when I mentioned multinational earlier, I mentioned that in relation to EB1A. And it's one of the criteria, like if you are a multinational executive, you will qualify for EB1A. But when it comes to NIW, you can be in any field. You can work anywhere. Like I said, bachelor's degree plus 5 years of work experience. That work experience can be, it doesn't even have to be in only one company. You could have worked in 5 companies over the last 5 years, but they just want to see that the work experience shows progress. And that progress can be shown in terms of salary increase, position, promotion, things like that. It should be progressive work experience. That's what they are looking at. 5 years of experience. It can be in any field. It can be as a medical doctor. It can be as a researcher. It can even be as somebody in sports.
Okay. Someone has asked if it is the same process for Canadians. I don't think it will be. And
For Canadians now, there's another opportunity for Canadians to come into the US. But eventually, to get their green card, they will need to do either the NIW or EB1. So coming to the US to live and work, there's this visa called the TN visa that is usually issued at the port of entry that allows you to work, but to live permanently in the US, you need a green card.
okay. Okay. To answer the question on Canadian, we are hoping to bring another expert on the subject of Canada to just help also throw some light on Canada process. So fingers crossed, the education team will hopefully get to that topic in the course of this series. Does your NIV, your non-immigrant visa rejection history, does it matter in this process? Let's assume you've been rejected over time for the non-immigrant visa. Will that come into play at any point here? Does it matter?
So when you're doing the NIW, you have not gotten to the consular process. Your visa history is at the consular process. NIW now is even them evaluating if they want to even bring you into the US or not, if they feel like, okay. So it's after you've been approved that you cannot talk about visa. So visa history is separate from NIW.
But
But
you
once
eventually get there.
yeah, you'll get there. So once you be approved for your NIW, you only need to go and do your interview. Your visa history does not matter if you've been denied or accepted before. So, but what I'm saying is like you being, in terms of you being scared to do the NIW because you've been denied US visa before, it doesn't matter because at that point, you are not even submitting anything that shows them your visa history. It's a different unit of USCIS that administers that. So they are not interested at that point. You get.
Have there been any instances of anyone being refused at that interview stage? Once you get to the interview stage, is it 100% chance of success?
Yeah, because you're already, it's like at that point you're an immigrant.
Okay.
It's like somebody has filed for you. But in this case, it is you that has filed for yourself. It's just like, let's say in US man married a Nigerian lady. The US man is already here, he has filed for the Nigerian lady. The USCIS is already satisfied that, okay, these people are actually married, they've done their text and everything. So most times when you're going to do your visa interview, it's just for them to confirm few things and you pay your immigrant fee. It's like 98% sure. I've never heard of anybody that's been denied. Maybe my information is limited, but as of now, I have not heard of anybody being denied because no.
Okay. Wow. Okay, sisters, do we have any more questions? So far, I can't see any question. If there's any question that I might have omitted, please let me know so that we can share with her. With your permission, Esther, we will share, the things that you've highlighted. So, for instance, the criteria, the checklist, and all of that. Is that okay by you? And
Yeah,
also
that works. Yeah,
okay, great.
that works. All of these things are also on the USCIS website. But like I said, sometimes when you're going to the USCIS website, you get lost because it leads one to the other, one to the other. That's why I've just tried to like summarize everything. So you could use this as your guide. And if you want to dig further, I would say you should consult the United States Citizen Immigration Service website.
Okay. There's another question for you, sorry, before you go. Someone said, so she knows that her children are citizens and they do not require the visa, but do they need to be mentioned on her application?
So at the point of filling your NIW, it's just about you. There's nothing about your dependents or your relative or anything at that point. It is just about you. Once you have been approved, it's okay to mention them. I'm sure that there are some places where they will ask you to tick, but it doesn't mean that you have to pay anything for them. Yeah, because it's just like the places where you're filling your bio page, your bio information. Of course, they will ask if you have kids. So at that point, you put them in, but you will not necessarily have to pay any fee or file for them. They've already gotten their own papers. I don't know if you understand what I mean.
Absolutely. Another question, if you're a student in the US, how do you transition to a permanent resident?
So as a student in the United States, you can also do the NIW or EB1A, or you can wait for an employer to file for you. In that case, you will get a job. So the usual route from a student to permanent residency, if you are not self-filing, is to get a job. After graduation, you have a 90 days window period to get a job within the United States. If you don't get a job, you will be out of status and be asked to leave. Most times, it's not as if they'll come and pursue you away, but your record will show that you're out of status, which we do not want. But thankfully, by God's grace, you are able to get a job within 90 days. You get something called postgraduate permits. Postgraduate permits for STEM-related courses are like 2 years. Extendable is 1 year. For all students, is 1 year OPT. We call that optional practical training. That's post-study visa in the United States, 1 year. But for STEM courses, that 1 year is extendable for 2 more years. But if you've done a non-STEM course, it is not extendable. You either get your employer to file for you within 1 year, or you would have to leave the US. Another option is if they don't file green card for you, they can file H-1B. H-1B is a work visa that is valid for 3 years that can be extended for another 3 years. If within this period, you don't get your green card, you can still extend, but H-1B is not a permanent residency. But to go for green card, if you have done your STEM course, for instance, your employer can file H-1B for you. Some organizations require you to get H-1B first. Some organizations can file green card directly for you. So in that case, they will now do that labor certification I mentioned earlier. You know that I mentioned that in the case of NIW now, we are setting aside labor certification. But in the case of employment, when your employer is filing for you, they will file and do that labor certification for you. In that case, there's no wait time as much as NIW. It's just that it also has its own process, labor certification, and it differs for people to people. Like when we did our green card process, the old timeline took like 1.5 years, though we heard that the delay sometimes was because of COVID, because it was during COVID or so, but it differs for different people. But basically, that process, you get an employer to file for you. They do your labor certification, they file your adjustment of status, and you get your green card. Through that process, you also do some number of things. You do your biometrics, you do your medical exams, and a whole number of other things.
Okay, so what you've said now, I guess that answers the question of whether we can proceed from H-1B to a green card, correct?
Yes, you can proceed from H-1B to green card, from students to green card. In fact, from visa to green card.
Okay. So clarification on the question on timeline. What she wanted to know is the actual timeline for approval. So assuming you do it without the premium processing, what is the, average timeline for that approval under the NIW?
I could say 3 months to 1 year. There's no timeline, honestly. The USCIS will not put timeline for you. The case can just be there. Like I said, I know somebody that submitted since May. He has not gotten anything since now. And I know people that submitted premium processing that got theirs within 45 days. I know somebody that didn't even submit premium processing that got within 3 weeks.
So I guess you just have to send yours forth with prayers, with serious prayers.
And fasting.
And fasting, exactly. So yes, Tolu, she said that she's happy to give guidance for if you want to go through the process, she's happy to give guidance. Okay, so we have gone past the time by 25 minutes. First of all, I really, really want to just appreciate you, Sister Esther. This has been very, very, very information-packed. I'm sure everyone here gained a lot. I definitely gained a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking out the time, doing the research, and just giving us this very in-depth information. We are really grateful. So on that note, can I call on Omolara, our dean, to just give a vote of thanks before we go? Hello?
Yeah, let me take that on her behalf. I think she's having to scribe in a different session. So just to say massive, massive thank you. I don't think we envisaged the depth of what we're going to receive today. To me, it's a labor of love. I see the passion, the interest, and the genuine desire to really help others. So thank you so much. I don't think there's anything that we can say to thank you. So we'll actually just say God bless you. Yes, may He continually be with you and lift you up in everything that you do. And I really pray for everyone who is seeking to go along these paths. We pray that your journey will be straight and positive and successful. So thank you very much, Sister Esther. Thanks for holding our hands, and I'm sure that others will reach out to you to hold their hands fully as we go through the process. God bless you and love to your family. Thank you so much.
Bless you. Thank you,
You're a
sisters.
blessing indeed.
Thank you,
Thank
sisters.
you, sis.
Thank you,
Education team. Thank
And
you.
good night, everyone.
You're welcome.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
sister. God bless. Bye, everyone.
Bye.